Hey, Brandon.
Hey,
How's things been, man?
good.
Awesome. You're on track this semester, right?
No,
Oh, you're not.
no,
Cool. What you doing?
I'm just working between
Awesome.
semesters back at home.
Cool, dude. Yeah, you do like carpentry or something, right? Or what do you do?
No, I just cook.
Cook. Oh, I'm mixing you with someone else. Hmm. Someone does like tiling or some kind of. Well, Colo, who does like the stuff with their dad, like tiling or carpeting? You know, is that
Sorry,
Good morning.
I didn't catch. Good morning,
Good
Brother
morning,
Godfrey.
Brother Godfrey. I was just asking. I know one of the guys does like carpentry or something with his dad for work. Who is that? I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think it was Jonathan that said something like that.
It seems like it was the guy yesterday, Israel Jonathan.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was Israel Jonathan.
gotcha. That makes sense. So
We've got
Brandon,
Brandon Layton.
Good morning.
Hey, Brandon, do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, I'm Brandon. I don't have my camera set up, but I need to get to that, but I keep forgetting.
Oh, sorry. Ryan,
yeah,
should that be okay, or we need to have an opening prayer first?
sure, we can have an opening. Well, Colo, would you be willing to say it?
Yes, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank thee so much for a time like this. Thank thee for the night rest we had. We thank thee for our family members. We thank thee for members of this project. We are grateful for the blessings that we've received from thee, for the health, for inspirations in times of needs. We are grateful for the love we've felt and the understanding that has been generating ever since we started working together. We ask for more of thy blessings in our life. We ask for more inspiration. We ask for strength to be able to get on with the activities that are involved in this very project. We also ask for peace in our individual families, in our individual lives. We ask for forgiveness of our sins also. We ask for thy blessings generally upon thy children on this earth. Pray for these and many other more blessings which we cannot remember at this time. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So Brandon, go ahead. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Brandon Layton. I'm from Arizona originally, and I'm right there right now. This is my off track. I am a CIT major and also a computer science minor, so that's fun. I was in a class with well, I can't ever say your name, I'm sorry, but
Okolo.
Nokolo, yeah. Nokolo.
Walk, oh, low. That's how I think about it. Walk, like you're going on a walk.
Okolo, yeah.
Oh, and low. Walk, oh, low.
Yeah,
Does that help?
a bit. I probably will still have trouble.
Don't worry. I've had my share of practice in myself, and I'm getting her down slow but sure.
I was in a class with him last semester, and yeah. Any questions? I don't know exactly what to say, so.
Awesome. Cool, man. Well, welcome to the team. Excited that you're helping Mokolo. Front end is doing some great stuff, and we're excited to see more.
I have a question for you, Brandon. We're trying to invite lots of people in to join in with us. What is it that kind of hooked you in and made you want to come join in and be a part of what we're doing?
Well, it's not my on track. So like this semester, I'm like, I kind of just want to do something. And Nokolo, he gave me the opportunity, and I'm like, that sounds fun. And I only work like 40 hours a week, and then the rest of the week I'm kind of just bored. So this sounds fun.
Awesome. I think
Yeah.
that's an important thing for us to understand, is that the students that are off track are often some good ones to try and reach out to. And it's probably a pattern that we need to learn from. Okay. Thanks, Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Maybe I'll start off today. And just give you guys a quick rundown. So I mostly did just a lot of debugging and fixing from what we had left kind of up in the air on some of the features, or I had. And so most of my day was just kind of going through and trying to find those things. I met with a new candidate for the project, Igor. He's hopefully going to help with QA. And then I reached out to an industry professional that I met for additive manufacturing. He's a really cool guy, and he already wanted to help the students at BYUI a lot. But it seemed like there was some good talk, and then it all died real quickly. And hopefully that relation isn't hurt by that. But I reached out to him as far as trying to get him to kind of look at our stuff with more of that perspective of maybe a different industry where they still focus on projects a lot. So this platform should still be great for them. And I finally got that project posting feature, I think, solid. It's going to go through testing with QA. Today, what I think I'm going to spend a lot of my time doing is just trying to write the context and write out a lot of the paragraphs for the pages to explain why you'd want to do this or what this would be applied to, and try to keep it simple and easy to understand for the audience. So that, and then as QA works on some more things and gives me feedback, I'll work on some more QA. And then after this meeting, me and Brother Murdoch will try to get the shared folder done. Awesome.
Yeah, I think the QA are doing a great job. They're always calling our attention to things that we need to do, and that's cool.
Yeah, it's really helpful.
So for the content, I guess you'll be working with Veronica. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll probably write it up and then send it her way. Make sure it sounds clear and legible, and then also I'll have her grammar proof it.
Yeah.
Wokolo, would you want to give us the update?
Oh, yes. So I got the color scheme selected. I actually selected 2 of them, and hopefully that looks good. It's on Trello. I'm sure you guys must have seen it.
In testing? Yeah.
Yes, testing.
So there's one that looks very American-like, red, white, and blue. And then there's one that has kind of Google, orange,
Yes.
red, yellow, green, and
charcoal
blue.
And the rest.
Okay.
These pictures should match.
That was my phone.
All right, so those are the color scheme that I was able to get ready to do some research. I'm reading to be able to get that up and running.
Okay.
Also, I decided to rework the project index page. It's also in action, if you can see it from there too on Trello. So I have the large screen view, medium, and small screen all together. Yeah, I also worked on the CSS files. They have Visual Studios. So what we have now is CSS files for small screen, large screen, and medium screen. And also general CSS. I mean, the CSS that applies to the general page, whether small, large, or medium. So I separated them. Hopefully it becomes very clear for those who will be using it, because Jonathan was asking yesterday how he could add his code to those files, those CSS files. So I thought that would be cool for him to work with. We had a meeting yesterday with some of the front end team members, and I think Jonathan is doing a great job. He reached out to me that he was needing help with the CSHTML, inserting his code and making them run smooth. So, but he reached out a little bit late yesterday, so I couldn't help him. So hopefully today I'm able to work with him. So I'm going to complete the wireframes, because one of the things we talked about was having the wireframes done and having a color scheme we're going to be working with. I think if we use that approach, it becomes very easy to get things done. We don't have to like go back and front, back and forth, back and forth. Yeah, so we're going to have a meeting today also to review our progress so far. There are no impediments for now.
Awesome. Thank you, Wakolo. Brother Godfrey, is there anything that you'd like to share with us?
Sure. My part yesterday, I said I was going to try and go back to Katakoda and look at other ways of learning Git, gather resources that we can use to train other students with, and that kind of thing. I did. Let me share my screen. I updated what's in the wiki with one other scenario. So I was working through, this is Katakoda. If you look at the whole layout, they've got about 12 scenarios that they have you work through. And as I was working through this most recent scenario, the third one that I was finishing up, stepped back for a minute when I was done and was looking at my notes, and I realized that what they've got is not bad. They're trying to teach people generally about Git, but I think it's going to be more helpful if, for me, I was thinking, what do I really wish I had to be able to learn this from? And two things kind of popped to mind for me. If I could have some kind of a visualization of branches and merges and those kinds of things, and zoom out to a big picture that shows me, the evolution of code for a time period, and then be able to zoom in on that actual component and zoom back out and zoom back in, and be able to have a visualization that I could navigate as I need it, when I need it, I think that would help me. So my thought is I'd like to just invite myself into your work when and where I can, and I want to focus on trying to capture some of those ideas. So if you're going to do pushes, pulls, commits, merges, a variety of different things that you're going to do with Git, I'd like to capture some of those key scenarios where, the most common ones, I think we could do pretty quick, the push, pull, commit, those kinds of things. But when we get into merges, I'd like to, when next time you're ready to do a merge, either of code that other people have already submitted and you're merging it into your local repository, or merges where you're going to push your stuff in and try to resolve differences with what you've got and what somebody else has pushed. Watch for those. And I'd like to take some time with them to be able to get together, record the event, and then maybe use that as some of our training materials for other students to come into the project later. I think it would be helpful to have some front-end work that we do that with, as well as some back-end work that we do that with. And because I think that just resonates with people. It seems to be how people kind of sort themselves out in the work that they do anyway. So I'd like to have an example of a front-end doing that kind of thing and back-end doing that kind of thing that we could use for training purposes and to help students get spun up on the project and feeling like they're more confident in using Git and contributing without feeling like they're going to break anything.
Yeah.
So that's
Okay,
what I'd
did you
like
know?
to do. I don't know if that'll happen today, but over the next week or so, be watching for those opportunities, and we'll see if we can sync up and work on that. Wakolo?
Yeah, the color scheme for that website looks like what we have on Trello.
Oh, nice.
I like it.
So yeah, we'll definitely. I'll email you if I run into one of those scenarios where the commit merging and there's conflicts and stuff.
And
Hopefully,
I think we could probably look back through our GitHub logs and just pull out a couple of examples there to show how some of this has happened, but I haven't looked into that yet. But
Okay.
I want to create some kind of a little visualization or timeline of the branching, and then use some of these code snippets and examples to teach from. I think it would be helpful for me and for other people that follow after.
yeah, I definitely agree. Let me pull up. I have an idea, but I'll show you later about
Okay.
it. Probably just send a picture of it. Maybe it could help with the visualization, maybe not. But
Awesome.
Brother Murdoch, is there anything that you'd want to share with us today?
Yeah. So I still have some work to do on the SQL Server stuff because I didn't give a public IP address to the stage and prod instances, and I was relying on the DNS within Kubernetes. They have their own DNS because a lot of times have stuff that lives in Kubernetes that needs to talk to something else that lives in Kubernetes, and so it just has its own little DNS inside of the Kubernetes cluster. That's not really anything fancy. But what happens is you can create records for specific applications or instances. Anyway, that happened, and I did use ping to verify that it was resolving correctly, but I need to do some more digging to figure out why when the application tries to reach the database using that same name, it's not working for stage and prod. And in dev, we don't have the problem because we're using a public IP address. So that's something I'm working on.
Gotcha.
So Sean, is the IP address internally just a private address?
Yeah. It's like a 10
Does-
dot address or something.
Does it change?
No.
You can do the connection string with an IP address rather than a host name as well.
Yes.
I mean, that's not very...
I agree. That's my backup plan. If I can't get it figured out why the DNS isn't working, that's my plan, is to just use IP addresses. That should fix it.
Gotcha. So I know you explained this once before, but the concept kind of eluded me. Right now, what's hosting our databases? Is it on a compute engine itself?
It's just like how Constellation Web is running as a Docker instance.
Okay. It's on its
Same.
own Docker for SQL Server Express.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And each one has their own separate, or are they all on the same one?
There's like 3 levels of abstraction with Kubernetes. So the
Okay.
top layer is called a Kubernetes cluster, which is like a group of applications that are running together and they can be aware of and communicate with one another. So that's
Okay.
the top layer. I actually have a diagram I can show you right now if that's okay.
Yeah, that would be super good. Me and Wakola were talking, and he asked me where they were, and I didn't even know. So, yeah.
Okay. So this blue, can you see this?
Yeah.
Okay. So this blue is the Kubernetes cluster,
Okay.
this square. And then this orange. So anyway, all of our stuff's running inside of the same cluster. Okay, it's called cluster 1. Really fancy name. So what happens is, if you add more stuff you want to deploy, and Kubernetes cluster only has so many servers running, it'll actually say, I can't schedule this work because I don't have enough resources. So you have to manually add more servers unless you want it to be able to spin them up on the fly, which I haven't set up that. So what happens right now is you try and deploy something new. It's a whole new application. It's not Constellation Web or something else. And it says, hey, I don't have enough resources. So you have to add another one of these orange, they're called nodes. It's just a server. That's all it is.
Okay.
So do you have questions so far?
So then the Kubernetes cluster, in a way, kind of acts as a network, like a LAN in a way, right?
Yep, that's right.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And this is all logical, not physical, right? When you're working inside of Kubernetes on the cloud like this is operating on some piece of software that we don't know, but it's giving us ways to logically group and organize it into clusters and servers and networking.
Yeah,
So,
there's no physical layer. That's you don't deal with physical layers. No, that's right.
that's what I thought.
Yeah, the closest thing is that these orange ones are VMs that you have to be aware of. And that's it.
Okay.
So when I say server, I mean a VM.
Okay. And then those Docker containers are the containerized application or database?
Yeah, that's right. It's both.
Okay.
And then we have one for the NFS. So there's a bunch of them. And when you go into wherever it is, but when you go into Google Cloud, you can navigate all the way down to this level. You can see them running in the UI. You don't have to use the command line.
Okay.
And the real advantage over all this containerization is that you can pull these pieces apart and put them onto some other logical or physical server and still have all of your configuration environment sound and not have to spend all your time tweaking with all the configuration results and settings to get things just right.
Yeah, so for example, say for example we got the DNS resolution working, then you could in theory move everything to a new cluster and it would all just work because it's not dependent on anything other than the name existing in that cluster, and it just finds it.
Okay. That helps me understand it a lot.
Which is so much better than saying I'm going to run all this on my local machine and develop it and then move it over to some other machine and then have to figure out how I set up all my environment variables and settings and connections in order to make it work on somebody else's computer or machine, right?
Yeah.
Because that is a nightmare. If you've ever tried that, it is just not cool.
Yeah, I agree. It is difficult.
Thank you, Brother Murdoch. That really helps me out.
Yeah, it really helped.
What's that?
Yeah, it helped.
I'll share this too. I'll share this link and the chat.
Awesome. Is there anything else, Brother Murdoch, that you needed to tell us about? Okay.
This is probably a good snippet to put out on your YouTube channel there too, Brother Murdoch, and keep for other people to use later.
Yes.
This is good orientation material right here.
I agree. I'm going to upload this video today.
Okay.
Good idea.
Let's see. Brother Lindstrom, do you have any thoughts or things that you've thought about?
No, I try not to think too much.
Awesome. Okay. Any advice that you can give us that maybe you've noticed?
I haven't kind of dove into the code or anything like that. You know what I mean? So I'm just kind of trying to stay supportive here when you have questions more.
Awesome.
But But yeah, reach out to me if you need help on something.
Brother Lindstrom was in a meeting yesterday where we met with the IT portfolio manager and the CIO, and we're trying to basically map out. We've tried to go down this track before with IT, and we keep getting shuffled around. Hopefully, we're getting the right people this time, but our goal is to improve our virtualization platforms and options that we've got with that ESXi server, and also to be able to build in like a trickle down pattern where we can get other equipment to put in our server room. You know, the 342 room in the Science and Technology Center. It's that server room that sits back behind the NOC.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we had some clarity in that meeting. I always walk away thinking that we've got people on board, and then we see how it turns out later. So we'll see where it turns out this time, but it seemed like we had some positive momentum going there.
I think we had some players that had not been in other meetings that might actually be able to shepherd stuff along. So I think Corey, as I've been thinking about our growth in our virtualization and stuff, I think we'll start building a Kubernetes cluster on our ESX server.
Oh, okay.
Great. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, so we've kind of I'm not sure the best way to architect it, and also we need to re-architect our whole virtualization infrastructure, and I'm kind of debating whether I should wait until after we re-architect or just start jumping in now. I don't think it should matter if we jump in now, because really the only thing that will change is our external addresses, potentially.
It's the logical architecturing as well as the physical architecturing, and we've got to get the two in sync.
Yeah. So, but I think there's great news on that front if they will actually follow through, and they've put a request for some funding, which sounds to me like they can make a good justification for. I got the sense that it sounded like it would go through.
See, that was the funny part, because Jason said he was going to handle that end, and then all these guys in that meeting were like, wait, what's going on? I don't understand this. I'm like, well,
yeah,
that wasn't our problem, but they came back asking me all the questions. I'm like, I was told that you guys were going to handle it, so I don't know why you're asking me all these questions on how to build the plan, because you told me you were going to do that part.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, but that might have a direct impact on these kind of projects and stuff, because we can get students on our infrastructure side. So right now on our project team, we mostly have project management and development students, but we don't have really security and infrastructure students, which is a large portion of our student body. And so if we could bring and host some of this stuff locally, that would give opportunity for our students to build clusters to work on that infrastructure kind of stuff and give experience there. And then of course turning loose our security students to beat the crap out of it to see how it holds up that way. So I think there's some neat opportunities.
Very cool. Brandon, is there anything that you want to bring up or discuss?
I'm good. Not much right now.
Do you have any questions?
I'm pretty caught up, I think. So not
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good to hear. All right.
I'm glad Brandon is, because I still feel like I got a lot to learn on this whole thing.
I teach on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I go to only every other meeting, and it feels like I'm kind of listening to audio that's cutting out, because I miss kind of every other day.
Oh, we do record them, so if you want to watch the old ones, you can.
I guess
I doubt you want to.
It's pretty riveting, but
Oh man,
sounds good.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks, guys. If you need anything, let us know.
Okay.
Thanks, Rain.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Give me a heads up if you've got things that you think we could package up or capture in some way.
Are you
Try to
looking
work out a time to do
for
it.
just conflicts or just regular pull requests too?
Probably some lame, normal, boring stuff, and some
Okay.
really juicy, yucky stuff.
We'll probably
That's
have
kinda how I
a
think
lame
about it.
one.
Okay.
We'll have a lame one for you today, I'm guessing.
Awesome.
So we'll hold off on merging it till you have time to go over it with us.
Let's look real quick. I might be able to do it today. Let me look at my calendar and see if we can sync up on that.
Okay.
I'm actually pretty good from about 2 to 4:30 today.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd actually be interested in following along with you there too.
Okay.
Okay.
So when you figure it out, just invite me. I'm pretty open today too.
Oh,
Would 2
dang.
o'clock?
I forgot I have a class from 2 to 4. Well, you don't need me though. Ryan can show you how to do the whole thing. If you're free, Ryan.
Yeah,
Are you okay?
I'm free then. So we can get it done as far as code wise, and then at 2, let's meet up and do the whole the lazy or easy merge.
Yeah,
So let's do. How about if we meet at 3:30? That
3:30.
way, if we run into something that seems like it's gonna hang us up, then maybe Brother Murdoch can join us at that point and fix it. How's that?
Sounds good.
Yep, I'll be available at 4 roughly.
Okay.
So
we'll see how far we can get. We'll start at 3:30, and if we can get it done, then we're done, and everybody's happy. But if we get hung up, then you can touch base with us right after as quickly as we can get in, and we'll go from there. So I'll set it up on my Zoom, and I'll invite Ryan and Sean and Craig. Wakolo, do you want to be in on it?
Yeah, I would love to.
Okay. How about you, Brandon? You want to be in on it?
I have work then, but
All right, we'll go that way. Thank you.
yep, sounds good. And Ryan, do you want to work on that stuff now?
Yeah, if that's okay.
Yep.
Awesome.
So can I show you something that I found yesterday?
Yeah, definitely.
I guess I have to leave.
Okay.
Either way, I guess we're just working on the shared folder thing. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can spare 30 minutes. It's just that I wanted to hop into the wireframe thing I was working on.
Yeah, you're welcome to leave, but you're not required to leave. That's what Ryan's telling you.
and if you need to go and come back, you can do that too. Whatever you need to do.
I'll just stick around.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. All right, so if I can show you. Okay, so here are the 3 ways you can have a volume set up in Kubernetes.
Okay.
I didn't know what this meant when I first was writing it into my manifest files, but read write once means that it's read write. You can read from the volume and write to the volume, but only one pod can do that.
Oh.
And so that's the way it works when you create a new persistent volume in Kubernetes in Google. It's read write once. So each pod has their own persistent volume, in other words.
I see.
But that's not going to work, right? Because right now we only have one pod running the application, but we foresee the day when we'll have more than one pod running it, and that would break.
Yep.
Then you have another option, read only many, which also won't work, right? Because we need to write files to it.
Yep.
Read write many, is what we need. We want many pods writing and reading from the same volume, so they can read the same images and write the same images. So that way they'll all share this folder that has all the pictures people have uploaded, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we need. And as I looked into it, there's a lot of different ways of doing it, but it seems like we actually were onto something with our NFS thing. We were actually doing the right thing.
That's good.
Yeah.
It sounded right to me. It sounded like really like right. So
Yeah, I know, me too. And then when we started doing it, something felt wrong, and I figured out what it was. Kubernetes has its own way of mounting NFS volumes, and so we didn't need to do the way we were doing it.
Okay.
And I'll show you what I found for that.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Bookmarks.
Yeah, I have a lot of bookmarks. It's probably okay. So this is an example of a manifest for a persistent volume that uses NFS to mount to an external NFS server or pod.
Okay.
So this would be the volume that Constellation Web would use.
Okay.
So within Constellation Web, we would have to add something like this. Now we can change this to read write many.
Oh. Okay.
So that's the cool thing. And then down here, you just tell it the IP address and the folder, and that's about it. In theory.
Yeah. That's super simple.
Yeah. And then you have another section inside of your, I'll show you this thing. So what'll happen is inside of the deployment manifest, there will be a place where we tell it, hey, you're gonna now make this volume, this folder in the pod.
Mm.
I can show you how I did that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
SQL Server one. So in this case, I created my persistent volume claim down here, which is going to look a little different because it's NFS in our case.
Okay.
And then right here, this is part of my deployment. So I told it a volume name. So it's mapping. I know this is like, to me, the first time or the first few times I did this, I saw volume everywhere. And I thought, what on earth, what is the difference between this one and this one and this one?
Yeah.
So the difference is, let me see if I can draw this. Difference is, okay, here's the difference. So you got kind of like 3 different layers going on. So at the top layer, you've got within the Kubernetes cluster, you have a persistent volume claim. Let's see if I can diagram this well. So yeah, so you've got, insert another another shape. So you've got this PVC, persistent volume thing. And that can map to a variety of things. One could be an NFS server. Another possibility is mapping to a Google Cloud persistent disk.
Okay.
That's how I did SQL Server and NFS. Was I got a persistent disk, and my claim, and that's the default in Google in GKE.
Okay.
Default is one of these. So okay, so there's your persistent volume claim. Okay, but for now, nobody's using that claim. It's just a claim.
Yeah.
So it's not really helping anybody, right? So then what you need to do is add within the pod. So let's do this. Now we've got pod. And inside of there, you got two more things. It's really complicated, actually.
Yeah.
So inside of here, you have, let me cheat and read it. Persistent volume claim. Okay, so here you have a mapping to the persistent volume claim again. So you're saying, I'm going to reference this other claim that exists within the pod. That's the first thing you're doing.
Okay.
So you're just creating a reference, essentially. Like this. That's all you're doing. Okay, so it has to be here. You can't just create one here, because if there's nothing to reference, it won't work.
Okay.
Then the last thing is called a volume mount. And the way that works, you can probably guess, is it references this persistent volume claim, which is within the pod now. And that volume mount then points to a path, mount path. So let's see, let's do it this way. Text. So in the end, you end up with this mount path in the pod that can be used by your application, which is the end result of all of this.
Okay. So when we were doing it beforehand, if I remember right, we were trying to say mount to the NFS server. So was it kind of like we were trying to come from in here and jump out to this, but we were supposed to go through this channel? Is that?
It was like we were saying from here, go here.
Yeah.
And we weren't relying on a volume mount or anything. We were actually just using Linux native mount commands to do it. We were bypassing Kubernetes.
Okay.
Which is a bad idea when you're dealing with this stuff. It works really great all by itself. So
okay.
There wasn't a need for us to do that.
Okay. Awesome. That's great to know. So then do you already have this in place then?
No.
Oh, okay.
I was waiting. I didn't want to go ahead and do it because I wanted to wait and see if we could work on this and get it working together.
Okay. Cool.
How do you stop annotating when you're annotating? Click it again. Oh, yeah. I'm just going to say, what do you call this? Kubernetes.
NFS share.
How we got it to work. I'm being hopeful, right?
Yeah, sounds like a prophecy.
Yeah, exactly, because we haven't got it to work yet. Okay, and then where am I going to save this as? Move to, put a lot of this stuff here. Okay, cool. And I'll share this with you guys too. Share. Now, so if we look at this link, send this to you guys too. That has what we need to do the persistent volume. So between our working example with SQL Server and this one, I think we have all the pieces we need to make this work.
Persistent volume claim policies.
Kubernetes.
Okay. So should we, I guess, should we open this in Cloud Console, or does, would that be the best environment to try to run it?
Sorry, you said Cloud Console or what?
I guess that's really the only option, because I don't have like Docker stuff on my machine.
You can just use VS Code or some. That's what I use usually.
You use VS Code? Okay.
Yeah, because you're not going to actually spin this up. You're not going to run this in Docker locally, because this is Kubernetes stuff that doesn't really work on your own machine anyway.
Oh, okay.
By the way, VS Code makes me happy. I wish I could do all the stuff I do on VS Code.
Me too.
Yeah. The one thing I wish I knew was how to find a good Git plugin for it, because every time I try and find a good one, I'm disappointed. I've got a student. Do you guys know John Purvis by chance?
No.
I'll have to ask him today, because I have him in class at 10, and he has a good one he uses.
Well, you don't need a Git plugin to use Git. I mean, it's just a file location, is it not? Because you could
Yeah.
open up what you're using in VS Code or via Visual Studio and VS Code, and then just use Visual Studio to pull and push, right?
That's what I do. Well, I don't even use it to pull and push. I just use the command line right now.
So then if you just know the command line, you could just pull up the terminal underneath, right?
That's what I've done. See?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
see.
what I'm missing, the only thing I can't do effectively from the command line is view the history of a specific file. I probably can do it if I look up the commands, but
Or you look up the file name. Could you not do that too? With like a find function in the command line?
yeah, but so say this local YAML, which has changed a million times.
Oh.
If I was looking for something 2 months ago that I did on it, the command line is awful for that. And so is GitHub. If you go to the website, it's awful
yeah.
for that. But I mean, I guess it's not too bad. If you go here, let's see, go to this, look at dev YAML, and then where's the commits? Let's see, I'm not finding, oh, here we go, history. So the thing is, I have to click each one in here.
It's like a million clicks.
Yeah. Well, and that's okay, except for some reason, okay, that's what you can do. If you have it integrated, like if you look at IntelliJ, if I go to the history of this, come on, wake up. Okay, and if I go get show history, this is what I get. It shows me every single person that changed it, the date they changed it. And then if I double click on one of them, it shows me the current version on the left. So it compares with what I have right now, I think. Or I can do that if I want to. I can right click and say, compare with local. That's what I missed. Compare with local. I love that.
By the way, Nancy Igwe is a good friend.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, cool. Is she from Africa?
Yeah, she's from Nigeria.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, wow. That's cool. I'll have to tell her that I know you then.
Yeah,
She's a good student.
that's cool.
So anyway, that's what I miss is this. And I know there's ways of doing it in VS Code, but it's not built in like it is in IntelliJ. So that's the only thing I miss when I use VS Code. Anyway.
Awesome.
Sorry for the rant.
Oh, it's all good.
Okay, who wants to do this change?
I can.
Okay.
Or Wokolo.
Wokolo.
Let's
Okay.
have Wokolo do it.
Great.
No, I was just kidding. I'm
You
gonna
got
mess
it,
things
dude.
up.
Oh, you can totally do it.
I don't think so. Sorry to admit that.
What?
Brandon, you see, this is what I was telling you about, how they talk about
You
things
can do
that
it.
are-
You can
things
do
that are- that are strange to me.
You can do it.
I mean, with your guide, I can do it.
But do you know what we're trying to do before we do that?
Yeah, I guess it's the, what did you call it again? The Kubernetes NFS share.
Yes. And what's the purpose? What's the purpose?
I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know for sure.
You're
There's
trying
a
to
problem.
change the read-write access for the volume.
Say that again, Brandon.
You're trying to change the read-write access for the volume so more people can do it than just one.
That's very close. That is the problem we were having, was that the read-write volume wasn't working. At least one of the problems we were having. Right now, there isn't a volume that's persistent. So if you redeploy, have you noticed you lose the images every time, Wokolo?
Yes.
Do you know why?
My thought was we don't have like a permanent storage where those files get to be stored and
That's right.
be accessed.
Yes, that's the problem. Precisely.
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to solve. Is exactly that issue.
So,
Okay.
Wokolo, let's see. Share your screen. Let's pull up Visual Studio. I'll be here to help.
I can always do it, you know. I'm always anxious to try new things.
Okay.
But then, here we are. Did you say Visual Studio?
Yep.
Okay.
So then we should be.
I guess I should be looking at the SQL server.
No,
not yet. I don't
we'll
think.
be looking at like the YAML files, and kind of down there, the Docker, libmin. Those are all of the DevOps or like CI/CD stuff that Brother Murdoch has made for us. And so, if I understood that correctly, Brother Murdoch, you need kind of a mount point for each of your environment files, essentially, right? Like dev, stage, and prod will all have to specify that they are mounting to our NFS shared. Okay, good.
Yeah. And I would say different folders for each one or something. What's that, Wokolo?
Yeah, I guess I have to clone the NFS because I haven't done that. I only have the Constellation Web App cloned.
Well, right now we're actually working. We're going to work in Constellation Web App. That's what we're going to do.
Okay. I heard Ryan saying something about YAML.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dev.yaml. Do you see that file? It's down towards the end.
Keep going a little. Right there.
Okay. Just so you know, I haven't looked at that portion of Solution Explorer.
It's all good.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, we are. I'm in.
Awesome.
Cool.
So we have API version v1 kind service, metadata, name, selector. So would we just do it right under what you already have, or would we add to?
Well, there's two things you're going to need. Go ahead, Ryan. I interrupted you, though.
Oh, you're fine. Or would we just add into one of these services?
So those services are your load balancer, basically.
Okay.
So that has nothing to do with the storage. So you could just leave those how they are.
Okay. Okolo is waiting.
So what is the next step, Brother Murdoch?
So if you look at the diagram, it's the Kubernetes diagram that I sent you.
Mm-hmm.
You'll want to start at the bottom of the stack and move your way up towards the pod.
I guess this one, right?
So there's another one. It's
Okay.
the last Kubernetes link I sent you.
This one.
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
So we want to start on the right and move our way to the left and up.
Okay.
Oh.
The Google Cloud persistent disks.
So we do need to know what our moving to the right and then in and up.
Start on the right and go backwards. Go to the left and up.
Gotcha.
So we're going to start all the way in the right.
Okay.
The bottom right.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
The bottom right.
Yeah.
So
But in this
Google-
case, we're going to choose NFS server instead of disk. Okay.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
So what's our NFS server? Which one are we going to use? That's what we need to know.
So the one that we had up, Brother Murdoch, is it still live and available?
I think so. Do you want to check?
Yeah. That was in. I'm trying to find it in. It was a. Was it Cloud Build?
What are you trying? Okay, you're just trying to find if it's running or the IP address or both.
Yeah, both. The IP. I can't remember the section it's under. I know it was under like Cloud Build or it was under Cloud something, and then also it was under storage somewhere.
So I usually go under Kubernetes engine and then go to workloads first to see if it's running. I'm going to get a drink of water. I'll be right back.
Sounds good. Oh, and I was on the wrong thing anyway. That makes sense. Oh.
So Ryan, are you looking at Cloud Build? Cloud Build dash dev YAML. YAML. I mean, what file are you looking at?
Yeah, that's I think that's all it needs is just dev.yaml file, because that's initializing all of the connections that environment needs. So I'm pretty sure that's even how we connect. That's for sure how it'll like spin up other versions of the app so that it can balance heavy amounts of traffic and stuff
Right.
like that.
That's true. It will.
I was on the wrong Google account, so I'm I'm jumping back to the right one. That's half of my problem.
Oh yeah, so nothing was there, huh?
I was like, where is it? Doesn't make sense. Okay. So there's the GKE clusters.
And then go to workloads. Do you see that?
Let's see. There is workloads.
It's next to clusters.
Okay, hold up. I think I was on the wrong page.
Okay.
So I'm on the main like the main
Menu.
menu, and
Okay.
then
So scroll down.
compute engine, right?
No,
Okay.
not compute engine. It's like under. It's under compute, but it's Kubernetes engine.
Okay.
You see that one?
I don't. Can I just share my screen real quick and then?
Yep. Please.
Okay, so here's compute, and I see resources. There's like storage and compute engine.
Go to the menu on the left, the menu
Okay.
bar, and then go down to compute, and then Kubernetes engine, then workloads.
Okay. Sure.
And see how there's an NFS one?
Boom. Yes. Okay.
And then there's an NFS local. We probably don't need the NFS local, but we do need the NFS. Now there's one thing that's going to get us. I scaled it to 0 because we weren't using it.
Oh, okay.
So see that scale button at the top middle?
Yeah.
Click that, change it to 1, and then click scale. This is so cool. I've never had a UI to do that.
That is nice.
Yeah, I've always had to do a command.
Okay. So now we have one instance of it. I know we'll need the IP, which I thought would be right here.
So it actually will be under services.
Oh, okay.
So what happens is on the left, on the far left, under workloads and then service. Oh, you don't have to go all the way out there though.
Oh, okay.
It's just right there. Yeah.
And ingress. Oh, okay.
And then look for NFS has a cluster IP. What? Oh, I'm using DNS on this one. Darn it. NFS local has a cluster IP. It actually has, oh no, that's a public IP. We don't want to use that. Well, how about this? Let's get it working with the public IP, and then we at least know we're doing everything else right, and then we can work out the fact that I don't have an IP address for the other one. So we could just use NFS local for now. Would that work?
Yeah. I think that's a good plan.
So we need to scale that one to 0 to 1 as well.
Okay.
And this is a service, so you want to go to workloads. Yeah.
And go back to it. Okay. I thought it might take me to the same page.
I thought it might too, but it didn't.
Scale 1. Scale. Should I turn the other one to 0 or just leave it?
You can leave it.
Okay.
We already paid for the resources it's using, so.
Gotcha.
I need to head out, so see ya.
Okay.
Hey, see you, Brandon. Good to meet you.
Mm-hmm.
Bye, Brandon.
Bye.
Cool. So now we know that portion
Yes.
will be, we need a mount to it. Eventually, looking at this diagram here, we need the persistent volume claim.
Yep. That's the next thing.
Okay.
Exactly.
So I might just duplicate the screen so we'll be able to jump back to it.
Okay. Okay, I think Wakolo gets to drive on this now because he's going to type it into his YAML file.
Yeah.
What's the code again?
So it should be volume claims. So is it technically that we're expanding a persistent volume claim? I'm trying to find the section from the Kubernetes.io docs.
Oh. So what I would do now is I would, create a new persistent volume claim, because this app doesn't even have one. Because that's why every time you redeploy, you lose everything, because there's no persistent volume claim yet. There isn't any at all.
Okay.
So
So
you just, go ahead.
it'll look kind of like this then, right? I'm putting it in the chat.
Yep. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. And then we'll just have to change the bits.
Yeah. Yeah, not much will have to change. It'll be pretty similar to this. Now, the way in YAML, the way you separate sections, Wakolo, do you know how you start a new section in YAML?
I guess you use 3 dashes.
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
So would it be advisable I just copy and paste? What?
Yeah, you can do that.
Wow, Okolo is typing some YAML thing.
What has to change here, guys? What needs to be different?
We don't own that server, right? We have to point to our server.
Yeah.
And then the rest looks okay.
There's one other thing you'll have to change for sure.
Storage is 5 gigabytes. I think that's okay, right?
Yep, that's fine.
File system, volume mode. And then the read write once is wrong.
Bingo. You won a prize.
Oh, yay.
Hey, Ryan, can I have it here? So, how about the name? It has to be the EV.
Yeah, you can change the name.
Change
You could
it
call
to
it like whatever you want.
Wakolo's NFS server.
No
Yeah.
way.
That works, because then you'll be able to know what it is. If you look at a list of them, you'll know what it's for.
Yeah.
So, Ryan, did you get this lines of code from the Kubernetes Cluster?
I got it from the docs. Brother Murdoch sent this link just a little while ago, and I found the section that talks about making a persistent volume.
That's the Kubernetes.io, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have it open. Okay. So we got that, the capacity.
So then before you scroll too far up, this will change to read write many.
Okay.
With the
Do you know why we have to change that, Wakolo?
Well, from what you explained before, what I can remember is that we're changing it so we can, let me see if I can listen to that. By the way, thanks for asking those questions, Brother Sean.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'm really learning.
Good.
I really wish I
I
could.
guess because I'm not asking.
What'd you say,
Yeah,
Ryan?
before it was read write once.
Yeah, what does read write once do? What does read write many do?
Yeah, so from what I can remember, you said something about having just one pod
Yes, read write once means only a single pod can use the volume. But if we want to run this website bigger with more users, that won't work for us.
Okay. And right now we that's what we have, just one pod.
Yeah, but if you want to make it so it auto scales, so like if a bunch of users are on, it can make 10 pods or something, then it would fail to scale out properly because they wouldn't allow it to mount the volume.
So then only like one or two, like for instance, if the reason why it creates a new pod is the amount of users, correct, Brother Murdoch?
Yeah, it's the amount of, what you do usually is you set like a CPU threshold.
Mm-hmm.
When the CPU gets to 75%, it makes another pod, and it's usually users that cause that.
Gotcha. So then, like, let's say 50, yeah, if 50 users jumped on and that hit our 75, then it would open up another one. Half of them would be on that, half would be on the other.
Yep.
But then only 25 of the 50 users would actually be getting to upload their images. And then now the new 25 on the new pod would be SOL.
Yeah, that's right. And actually would fail to spin up the other pod because it would try and mount the volume and fail.
Gotcha. Read write many cycle. And then this server, is that our Kubernetes cluster server, or is that a persistent disk that we need to create in Google Cloud?
It's actually the NFS IP address that we're trying to connect to.
Oh, sweet.
Is it
Okay.
the
Let
NFS
me
local?
put that in the chat for you, Wokolo.
Is it not the NFS local?
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, you could type in NFS-local in theory, and it should work. In theory, it should work. Or you could type NFS, and that should work.
Wow.
Because the DNS should allow it to find both of those. Because we have one called NFS, and that one should be the one that works. Now, my guess is it won't work, but we need to try this.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so do you have to close your sections off with those 3 dots for things to work, kind of like a semicolon, or is that just an optional thing when you're starting a new block?
The 3 dashes are
Yeah.
only for a new section.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
Awesome. So then that should technically work right there.
Yeah.
Other than NFS, I guess it has a domain name. Its problem was that because of the domain, it didn't have a IP.
Yeah, and in theory it doesn't need a cluster IP. So the cluster IP is a static local IP address. That's what that means.
Okay.
It still has an IP address. If you ping it, it should respond. So like I'm going to try it. I'm going to ping it right now and see what happens. So I'm going to ping it from the web server. So the command I'm going to execute will be running on the web, Constellation web. And so I'm going to say kubectl get pods, and then I'm going to say kubectl exec-it Constellation web with all serial number stuff on the end. And then I say /bin. Well, no, I'm just going to say ping NFS like that. Can't find ping. Dang. Okay. So I'm going to say bin sh. And then I'm going to say apt install ping apt get. Okay. I have to install ping real quick.
Gotcha.
Apt get install ping.
So on what platform are you running that command? What application are you using?
What's that?
Where are you running that command? Is it on Google Cloud?
It's on the Cloud Shell.
Yeah.
I've connected to the Constellation Web pod with SSH, and now I'm running installation commands on that pod. So, was it port 2049?
Port.
Yes, 2049.
Where are you seeing that?
It's in the message you sent, and it's also on GCP.
Oh, that's what that meant.
Yeah.
I didn't know what that one was.
The IP.
Gotcha. I was like, I know the first 4 octets are definitely for the IP, but that next one, yep, that's funny.
Yeah, so it looks like because it didn't create a cluster IP, it also didn't create a DNS record for the NFS. But if you use NFS-local, it does resolve.
So maybe, yeah, just use the local while we're
Yeah,
trying to get it set then.
yeah.
Cool. So then we'd copy this exact same code and include it in the prod end stage. Right?
Yeah.
Do I need to do that still?
Yep. Awesome. So I know we're not yet utilizing our stage that you've built us. So would it be eventually where the QA guys, that's their environment?
Yeah.
Okay.
They should be able to test there, and whatever works there, push it to production, basically.
Okay. So now dev stage and prod has this.
Hold on one sec. Did we just update prod.yaml or cloud build prod?
I think, yeah, it looks like you may have done the cloud build.
Okay, those are the wrong files. There should be one called just prod.yaml.
Oh, yeah, it's right there.
Okay.
Good catch.
And you still have the extra dashes in those files. I don't know if you meant to leave them.
Okay, this one's?
Yeah. And stage has it too.
Okay, I have it open already.
Perfect.
Okay. So do we have a stage.yaml or no?
Yep, we do.
Okay. Let's go and find it. Last one. Okay. So in our diagram, we did the NFS and we connected it to the persistent volume claim. And now we need to actually mount the pod to that persistent volume claim.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, one thing I noticed is the path in the NFS that we did was /tmp. We want it to be /NFS share instead of /tmp.
NFS share. Okay.
Because that's the directory that Oh wait, hold on.
Isn't it? Yeah. I know one will, when we're mounting to it, we'll want to change our ww root to something else. Maybe it's ww root that we create.
Yeah, so what happens when you connect to an NFS server? It's kind of like an FTP server. What happens is you end up getting dropped into this folder and you don't even know where you are.
Mm-hmm.
So you just are there. And then wherever it drops you, that's your home, basically. It's not the word home, but it's like your home. That's where you landed. And then there might be folders under that. And that's all you can see. You can't see what the name of your folder you're in or the folders above that.
Yeah.
So what this is saying is I want to drop in and go down one level to temp. That's what this is saying right now.
Okay.
So we might want to just say, leave it at just /.
Just the root.
Yeah.
Or
Like
your home, essentially. Yeah. That makes sense. And it's not a temp file. And so that, I guess, is kind of a more correct as far as its like purpose too.
Yeah, /tmp usually gets deleted.
Yeah.
Brother Sean, do you want to remind me of the difference between the cloud build and just
the other ones?
Sorry.
Yeah, good question. So if you open Cloud Build Dev, for example.
I notice it's different.
Yeah, it is different. So if you scroll up, you'll see steps at the top. And then steps start with number 11, I guess, line 11. So this is like your build script for deploying your application.
And that happens automatically on its own.
It happens because we created a build trigger in Google that points at GitHub.
Okay, so each time we update our codes, it notices it and make it available to those who are using domain name.
Yes, and this is how it does it. It follows these 3 steps or these 4 steps. So the first step is on line 11. It does a build of the Docker image. Line 22, it pushes the Docker image. Line 29, it deploys the Docker image. And line 40, it triggers the build for stage.
I haven't looked at this fast. It's only theories I've been hearing.
Yeah.
I guess I'm like, that's for Brother Sean. He knows how to do it. So
yeah, I know.
It isn't my front end thing.
At the end of the day, it's just a couple of files you have to update, and it works. So.
It's like the smallest like size that makes the largest difference. Like I can write hundreds of lines of code for the one little function to happen.
Oh yes.
But then Brother Murdoch writes 2 lines and it does so much.
And sometimes writing those 2 lines takes like 2 days. You try it and it breaks. You try it again and it breaks. You try it again and it breaks. And when you get it working, that's just great. It's so exciting. You save that.
Well, is it in a way making use those codes? Are they in a way making use of APIs?
Yeah, they are. So if you open that Cloud Dev again, the way it works, if you look at everyone has a name, that's actually calling a Docker image. It's calling an image to do its step for each step. And those are using APIs. And if you look at line 29, that Docker image is calling APIs in Kubernetes. So yeah, It is.
Good.
Okay. Does that answer that question?
Yes, it helped.
Cool.
I'm beginning to catch up. The puzzle is
What time does
Great.
your class start, Brother Murdoch? Is that at 10?
I have about 15 minutes.
Okay.
It starts at 10:15, so I usually try and get there at 10:10.
Gotcha. Okay. So if our dev.yaml is set and it knows now that it's looking at the NFS local, then we just need our node or pod, I guess, to know that it's looking at this persistent volume called Constellation Web.
Yes.
Okay.
So you need to add the two pieces that are inside the pod in that picture.
These two guys.
Yeah.
And
That's what we're missing.
that'll be
will
like
be
a setting specific in Google Cloud, or is that a file that we actually control in like our repository?
It's in here. It's in this dev YAML file.
Oh, okay.
So if you scroll up,
What line?
it will be, let's see,
Mount.
it's under the deployment. So it's the first section you're looking at here. So this is your pod. That's what this one is.
Okay.
And so we're going to need two things. We're going to need the volume mount and the persistent volume claim. Let's see if I can send you those examples. We have it in SQL Server. So it's like, if you look at the one for SQL Server, that would be a really good reference, I think.
Which is this service right below.
No, it's just another repository that has a dev YAML that has those already in it.
Oh, okay.
It's in GitHub.
So it's not actually part of Constellation then?
No,
Oh, okay.
I have SQL Server and NFS as separate GitHub repos,
I see. Okay.
but it's under Constellation BYUI. If you click on that,
Okay.
you should see both of them there. So let's go to SQL Server because it has a persistent volume too. And if you go to dev.yaml, and if you scroll down, you'll see volume mounts on line 42 to 44, and then volumes on line 52 to 55. Now you've got a liveness probe in there, and you've got a security context in there, and those are not necessary.
Okay. So we'll cut out this liveness probe and this security stuff.
Yeah, you don't need those.
Just the volume mounts and the volumes. That makes sense.
And what I usually do, Wakolo, is because it's YAML, it's space sensitive. I look at line 42, it lines up with line 35. So you can see the R and the V are at the same level, right?
Yes.
So that's how you know if you've copied it into the right place. That's how you know.
Hmm.
I would just start with line 42 to 44. I would just do those 3 lines because the spaces are such a pain.
Okay. Okay.
And it'd be right after resources.
Yep,
So-
right after resources.
And then,
Resources.
so like right here, right?
Well, I didn't see that.
Yep.
Did you annotate? Did you draw on my screen? Because I didn't see
Yeah,
it.
he did a little red line in Visual Studio.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, so, and then you just enter and go to the same areas. Yeah.
Sweet. Now we want to change the name and the mount path.
So instead of SQL Server Dev, we just want to do Constellation Web. If that, well, so do we need to name it the same as the NFS share name?
No.
Oh, we don't. Okay. So we could call it anything.
Hold on. Wait. I'm wrong. I'm wrong. You need to name it the same.
Okay.
You absolutely have to.
Okay. And then the mount, we probably just want to jump on the single spot, the root, correct?
Say again?
Just where the initial drop in is, we said was just slash. Do we still want to do that?
Now this is where it's going to be in your file system on the web application pod. So this needs to be whatever folder you're saving all your images under.
Okay, so www root. And then, so we'll have to do this twice for both the root and the resumes then, correct?
Let's see. Yeah. That's right.
And then image. Awesome. Is it images or image? I can double
I
check
can
for you.
check. Yeah, it's image. Oh dear. Good catch.
Yeah, I wasn't consistent because one of the folders is image with a lowercase I, and then the other is resumes with a capital R and it's plural. So not consistent. So then will we use this exact same volume mount for the resume section as well?
So you'll, under volume mounts, you'll add another one with another name and another mount path. That's what you'll do.
Oh, okay. So just these two lines.
Yeah, you'll replicate those. And then
What does that do again?
we're
So
going to do another. Yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
the resumes and the images are in separate folders. And so we have to mount to both of those in case, you know. And now we're probably going to have a challenge too where they're named the same thing, Constellation Web. I don't know if that'll matter or not. Maybe, maybe not.
Say again.
They're named Constellation Web, both.
So I was wrong about the naming here. The naming here can be something that you make up. It's when we get down further and we add the volume mount, or no, that's the volume mount. When we add the persistent volume claim, we're going to have to link it to the name that we added lower down. But this one can be anything. So you could have images and resume. You could call it that for each one.
Yeah, that'd be really good.
So the file path remains the same, right? Oh no, resumes.
And maybe you throw an S on. If you're going to do images, you may want to do resumes with an S as well and be more consistent than I was. Just if both of them are plural, you know?
I'm just gonna check again. You said resume.
Yeah, so you see on yours, there's, oh, it is image. You're good. Never mind. I thought there was an S there.
No, there wasn't.
So like images and resumes or image and resume. It's a small thing. It doesn't matter. But
It looks like we're going to have to do 2 persistent volumes at the bottom of the file. 1 for resumes and 1 for images.
yeah, because we kind of ran into that last time we made it, where we had to go in to the NFS and actually make a folder for each one
Right.
and override the WW root initial behavior to paste into that one, which was called the same thing.
Yeah. So we might want to call these Constellation Web resumes and Constellation Web images.
I think that makes sense.
Does underscore work here?
I don't know. Good question. I think dashes work for sure. You can use dashes. And I would use all lowercase on the name.
I'm using image with an S, images.
Yeah, I know the file path has image instead. And this should be resumes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll make it image.
Okay. Now, when you get to the path, we should have the path be /images on this one and /resumes on the other one. So this is a folder we're going to have to create inside the NFS server to keep them separate. Can we have it be lowercase on this case, in this one? Because on the Linux box, I think we're just going to make a folder called resumes and it will be lowercase. And can we have it be images with an S on the other, on this path? Because I think we'll create a folder called that. Thank you. Okay.
We're doing the same thing for the prod and stage, right? Or just dev?
Let's just get dev working, and then once we get it working, because I'm guessing we'll have to iterate a few times, then we'll copy it over to the other ones. Is that okay?
Yep.
So the next thing is we've got the volume mounts. Okay. So we're going to need a volume mount that has the name resume in it and a volume mount that has the name image. Okay, we have that. Perfect. And then the last thing is we need volumes. So if you look at the example tab that you have open in SQL Server in your browser
SQL Server.
and GitHub,
Okay.
you'll see line 52 to 55. We need to replicate that.
And is that before or after the liveness probe?
I guess it's after.
After liveness probe. And then it looks like it's actually, is it? Almost looks like a space above these guys to me. Looks like it's equal to, instead of resources, it would be equal to like containers, maybe?
Yep, that's right.
Okay. So containers is this line right here. So then that's it.
Did I get it?
I think you need to tab once.
Yeah. Just tab volumes, not the rest.
Okay.
Everything else should stay. So undo that.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, good. And then indent volumes to the same level as the dash. Okay, great. Okay, so the last thing we have to do is give the volume. We need 2 of these. So we're going to have copy from name down, and we'll have it twice.
Name.
Mm-hmm. See how tricky it is? Great. Okay, then we need 1 for resumes and 1 for images. So the claim name has to match the one we did at the bottom of the file for each one.
Yeah, so lowercase plural of each.
This name is a different name. There's 2 names. Okay. And then see claim name.
Yes.
If you scroll down, we want to double check what we named these claims. So let's see.
Class name, reclaim policy.
So Constellation Web Resumes and Constellation Web Image. That's what we have to call the claim name field. And that one should be image. Okay. No S, just AGE is how you named it. Okay, now we're almost done. Now scroll up if you would.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll just hold on here. Now where you have volume mounts, the name where it says image on line 31 needs to match line 42.
Images. Okay.
Line.
And same thing. Okay, it's marching 33 and.
Okay. What? Sweet. Submit the pull request.
Cool.
Okay, I have to do class, but good work, guys. This is a really good progress. So we'll get to test it later today, I think, in that meeting.
Cool. Thank you so much, Brother
Yep.
Murdoch.
Thank you, guys. See ya. Are you going to join that, Wokolo? At 3 o'clock, 3:30?
Yes, I will.
Okay. Can you create a branch for this change and have it ready for that?
Yes, I'll do it right away.
Thank you so much. See you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.